Hey Ken, this is Greg. It's Friday, February the 11th, year 2022. Got lesson number 22 for To Kill a Mockingbird. This one won't be as long as a couple as I've had this week. I've had a couple, had one over 33 minutes, I think, and yesterday was right at, within a few seconds of being 30 minutes. But this one I don't think is going to be nearly as long. And I had the wrong screen on the board, but it's irrelevant. I wanted to start with this, but I'd set up my camera and I wanted to make sure I got everything in it, and I just left it on there. So anyway, this chapter today, this was for my class, it was, I can't think of the right word to say. It was kind of created a somber time for my kids near the end of the chapter, and it caught them all by surprise when Tom Robinson, when Atticus announced that Tom was dead. And there wasn't a single one who foresaw it coming. So, I want to talk to you, starting today, with the missionary circle tea that they're having. And I want to remind that one of the purposes for Alexandra coming to live with the Finches was that she wanted to help Scout become a lady. And we get a peek into the ladies of Macomb in this particular chapter. These are all townswomen. They're all, and as such, that means they're in the upper class of Macomb, such as it is. And they have particular views on things. And these are views that have been formed over who knows how many years, all their lifetime, but it was before their lifetime as well. And so they have their own definition of how a lady behaves and what a lady does. Of course, in their view, they are the people that make them what it is. They are the people who get to decide what is correct, what is wrong, what people are doing. Some things that people are doing are bad, and what some people are doing is good. I was going to say something else that probably wouldn't go over very well. But anyway, these are the women, and again, women's place in this society was not the same as men. Men were basically everything, and women's value and worth in life was pretty much well defined by their men, by their husbands, or when they were younger, by their families, by their particularly their father. And so they've had these views and these opinions or beliefs formed for a long time. And for some of them, again, they've been there for generations. They pass down their value systems, their beliefs from one generation to another. So this is Scout's first introduction, real introduction of what the higher, the upper class of Macomb is, and what a lady is. And some things she likes and other things she didn't like. She mentioned that she loved their smell. They were all made up. They weren't garishly made up. If they used fingernail polish or it was the tan stuff or lipstick, it was just the natural stuff. And just a couple of the young ladies had rose-colored fingernail polish on to be a little bit more fashionable because they were the younger women. But they were made up. They'd already had their showers. They had powder, I'm sure, as well, and their own perfumes or whatever. And that was one of the things that Scout commented on, was that she liked their smell of all things. Now I'm a firm believer that smells are kind of embedded on our memory, and they bring back certain memories and stuff. Like you think about the smell of roll stock, of the rolls of paper at our corrugated plants. It had a unique smell. When my wife and I were dating, I played baseball. I played high school baseball, and she loved the way I smelled after I got finished with a game, and I'd go over to her house, and it was something that just kind of burned into her memory. The same way, there's certain smells that I connect with certain other parts of my life. I worked for a newspaper for a long time, and they had rolls of paper there as well. Not quite the same smell as the the paper that we used, at Chesapeake, but it was a cousin to it anyway. And whenever I'd walk into that, to the newspaper office, that's the first thing you smell. And to this day, if I ever smell something like that, that's the first thing that goes through my head. You think about clothing. You know, I've heard stories about, you know, a man or a woman whose husband or wife has died, and a lot of times they'll sleep with their clothing, their husband's or wife's clothing, because their scent is still there. And I think that, again, I think it plays a huge part in our memories and you know, what we you know, our beliefs and things that we remember as well. All right, so again, this is Scout's first introduction to becoming a lady. All right, the next one. We have this Mrs. Merriweather, who is the most devout woman in Macomb, and she has dyed-in-the-wool views about things. She's enamored with this missionary, J. Grimes, what's his name, Everett, I think is what it is, J. Grimes Everett, who is apparently her hero, because everything that she nearly everything that she talks about up until a certain point, nearly everything that she talks about has as its reference point J. Grimes Everett. And so, you know, she's trying to proselytize everybody she comes into contact with to become a kind of a disciple of this J. Grimes Everett, at least a follower, a supporter, or, you know, or whatever. And so she, you know, she's already got her mind made up about certain things in life. And we're going to find out a couple of these things here in just a few moments. But one of the things that she said, which is truly astounding in just that its statement, and I think we get a view onto how most of the town of Macomb viewed this trial of Tom Robinson. They're having the after effects of it now. Tom's in prison. He's been there for a little while. And apparently the white woman, these white upper class women, most of them have black cooks or housekeepers or whatever. And apparently the blacks in town are, the workers, they've been sulking around. They haven't been very happy. And Mrs. Merriweather just finds that atrocious, unbelievable, unchristian-like behavior on the, you know, from their help. And she has a black woman named Sophie, and she talks about her. But she made this statement: if we just let them being blacks, if we just let them know we forgive them. Truly amazing. We forgive them, that we've forgotten it, then this whole thing will blow over. And just, again, just an astounding statement that she comes up with here, you know, which I don't know how many times in life we've seen this. They're blaming, not in this case, they're not blaming the victim, although they are blaming Tom. He was really the victim in this whole thing, unjustly charged. They're blaming the victim for, you know, for the actions that's happening to them. And as I asked my students today, I said, if you were a member of the black community here, and you just had one of your members just taken to the cleaners, you know, unjustly sentenced to prison and ultimately to death, how would that make you feel? And it took them, I don't know, it took them a few seconds to finally understand my point. We got an announcement here.
There was a few questions about the Sadie Hawkins dance, so I just wanted to make an announcement.
You can listen to the Sadie Hawkins announcements going on.
One, we do not have to wear masks. Two, for anybody who is wondering if they
our high school is having a Sadie Hawkins dance tonight.
But you have to have a note signed by your parents.
I am assuming the girls asked the boys. I haven't inquired. I'm not going.
Side doors like normal in the morning. Thanks. See you there.
All right. And then our middle school's having a Valentine's dance tomorrow night, and I'm not chaperoning that either. All right. So anyway, so you know they're blaming Tom Robinson for the whole mess, and so they're, you know, their viewpoint is, well, the rest of the members of the black community just ought to get over it, and they ought to just realize, like we do, that Tom is getting his just desserts, and that's it. And he actually raped May LAU. This is what the women believe. You know, most of the women. the upper class women, and you know, he actually raped her, and he deserves to go to prison, and he deserves to be executed. But all we have to let them know is we forgive them for the action of one of their members, and we're going to forget it, and then it'll all be over. You know, first of all, that's a naive statement, because the people who are at the trial know the truth. And I don't know if some of these women were at the trial, but I would say probably, certainly their husbands were, if not both of them. And to be completely out in the cold and to be clueless about really what is going on, that's amazing. All right, and again, this is maybe the general upper class view of what just happened. They're blaming the blacks for being sulky after the injustice just laid on Tom Robinson. Remember Mrs. Merriweather, she said, if my Sophie, she was just sulking around, she wasn't happy, and she acted so downcast, and whatever word she used. She said, I finally just told her, said, this is not Christian-like. You know, do you think Jesus Christ went around being moody or whatever? She didn't say moody. Being downcast like this. She said, it's just not Christian-like. And she said, so my Sophie straightened right up. Well, did Sophie straighten up? No, she was putting on a show, so she's not going to get in trouble, with her boss, the woman she's working for. And Miss Merriweather said, if it had gone on one more day, I would have fired her. And you would think she would like that $1.25 that she earns from me each week, for working, 40 hours. Who knows how many hours she worked? 40 hours, maybe not quite that many, but for $1.25. Which at that time was a good amount of money. It could buy a whole lot more than it can today. I don't know if you remember the old Hostess cherry pies and apple pies, and they had 3 or 4 peach pies. I just love their Hostess peach pies. When those first came out, they were expensive compared to like cupcakes and Twinkies. At the store we frequented, the cupcakes and Twinkies were 12 cents. The Hostess fruit pies were 15 cents. And so they were expensive, so I couldn't get those when I went to the store with my mom and dad very often. I was in a store the other day, and it was a Hostess pie, and of course they don't make them like they used to. They bought out Dolly Madison. Now they use all Dolly Madison recipes apparently, which I never liked Dolly Madison except for a type of cake they had. But anyway, I was in the store the other day, and one of the fruit pies was $2.29. The amazing amount of price inflation that has occurred, in the last 50 to 60 years when I was a little child. But anyway, she was just dumbfounded that Sophie, her cook Sophie, would risk that $1.25 that she earns every week from Mrs. Merriweather by sulking around. And Mrs. Merriweather, she has no clue, and apparently some of these other women don't either. Why would the black women be sulking around? Did they have good reason? And apparently Mrs. Merriweather and her buddies, that thought never even crossed their mind. To them, the matter was settled long time ago. Who was at fault? And just, for the rest of the blacks in the community, just live with it and go with it. All right, third point. Mrs. Merriweather then starts in on Atticus. And basically what she's saying, is paraphrasing here, that he was wrong for trying to defend Tom. And she uses the word misguided in there. And again, once again, the people in town respect Atticus Finch. They respect him for what he stands for. And here's this Miss Merriweather, who's supposed to be the most devout woman in all of Macomb, supposed to be one of the most spiritually informed. She doesn't recognize what Atticus did and at what expense Atticus did it. His family, his children had to suffer. They had to listen to the verbal abuse that Atticus himself, that was hurled at the kids because of Atticus. And Miss Merriweather, she's completely ignorant of why Atticus did it. Again, Atticus did it because it was right, and it was just, and it was fair. But Miss Merriweather, again, she, like most other people in Macomb, had their minds made up beforehand. As soon, there's going to be a quote here. coming up in the next few chapters. The moment Mayella Ewell screamed, Tom was a dead man. That may not be the exact words, but it's close. You know, his fate was settled because of thinking like this. You know, in their minds, it could not be that Tom Robinson might be innocent, that the Ewells might be lying, even though common sense would tell you that they were. All right, so Miss Maudie comes to Atticus's defense, and she calls up Mrs. Merriweather quite shortly, not in direct words. You know, she's using inferences and whatever, but her meaning is clear. And when that was all over, again, Alexander expressed gratitude to Miss Maudie for taking up for Atticus. Just a little bit more, and then we'll be finished for today. Atticus returns early to the missionary circle tea, and I like Scout's commentary on, you know, surprise that he's showing up, because apparently on missionary circle days, if it's at their house, Atticus never returned to he returned to the house later. He never returned to the house until it was dark, when all the women were gone. He just didn't want to get entangled and all that. He didn't want to listen to it. He didn't want to be around it. But anyway, he returns. And this scene, again, as I'm sure you know, this is different than the scene from the movie. Here he went to Enfield Prison. In the movie, he never even made it, you know, to anywhere. He tried to escape when the car that transported him from the trial, you know, took him away, and he tried to escape and got shot there. But he returns with the news that Tom is dead. And I'm sure Harper Lee included this little tidbit of information just for emphasis, that he was shot 17 times. And I use a phrase in my classes every once in a while about, it's a line from The Princess Bride, if you've ever seen that. Oh, he's not all the way dead, he's just mostly dead. Like, you can be mostly dead. Well, you're dead, there's no life in you. You know, Billy Crystal, I've seen worse, you know, when they bring him to revive, you know, the main character in the story. But he'd been shot 17 times. You know, you wondered, especially the scene from the movie, you wonder if she was doing this to make emphasis that they, you know, the guards just wanted to, give emphasis and give notice to the rest of the blacks that, yeah, this is what we do. This is what we do to you. If you're a black man, you're trying to escape from prison. You know, we're not just going to do a halfway job where you just die from one gunshot. We're going to shoot you until, you know, there's nothing else. There could be no doubt. Last thing, I kind of enjoyed Alexander's reaction to this news. As after Atticus left, she was talking with Miss Maudie, and she echoed Jim's words from the previous chapter. You know, what more do they want from him? And she's talking about Atticus here. You know, he's done, and echoed Miss Maudie's words a few chapters back when she was telling Jim, you know, there are some men in this world who are born to do the things, our dirty things, the things that the rest of us don't want to do. And Alexander's really concerned. She mentioned she's concerned about his health, and, among other things, and, you know, the abuse that he's received. And you know, he did something worthy. And he deserved respect for doing it, but he's not getting it. And the people in the town apparently don't care. They don't care that what Atticus did. And she knows that most of the people in town are going to be happy that Tom Robinson is dead. And it's just going to confirm to them that, yeah, see, he was trying to escape. He knew he was guilty. He knew there would be no retrial, no acquittal, or anything like that. So he was just trying to escape, and he got his just desserts. I'm sure that's what most of the people in town will think. All right, so that's going to be it for today. And like I said, this wasn't as long as the couple days this week. But when we got to the part where Atticus told Alexandra and Calpurnia and Maudie, that Tom was dead. It caught my entire class by surprise. I try to not give away things ahead of time. And so sometimes when they respond with answers, I just say, okay, that's nice, keep it in mind. Or, okay, that's a good point. But I don't elaborate. I try my hardest not to give things away. And, obviously didn't want to give that away either. But there wasn't a single person in here, and there was a girl sitting beside me, and I turned and looked at her. I think she was crying. I really do. She was, or fighting as hard as she could to hold it back, from the tears. So, again, it just raised their indignation as well. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope you have a good weekend. I'll be back here on Monday. We're certainly nearing the end of the book. What page are we on? I got my book right here. And I think Monday might be a good day as well for my kids. I think it might be book giveaway day. Told you the other day, I've got 2 books over here. And this book, we're on page 273. The last page on the book is 320 something. No, yeah, 323, so we're 50 pages away from the end of this book. We're going to finish the book. We will finish the book next week. They'll have a test on it. We'll start watching the movie, and they'll get to do a comparison between the movie and the book. Of course, there's a lot of parts in the book that aren't even in the movie. They didn't have enough time. But like I said, either Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever, I'm going to have my book giveaway. I've got a surprise for them this year. They don't watch this, so no big deal here. I've got 2 books. I've had them sitting here, like I told you, since the first day of class. And I took, both yesterday and today, I asked them, I said, now who would like to win these books? And I told them, I said, if you're not interested, just let me know. You won't offend me. I just need to know so I can prepare, the names and put names on a piece of paper and in a hat and stuff like that. So I got a count today. I've got 9 students. I've got a couple of girls trying to bribe me. Mr. Burton, what food would you like us to bring in? And I have to say, momentarily tempted, I would enjoy that, but that wouldn't be fair. But unbeknownst to them, I've had these 2 books sitting here for how many ever weeks, first day back after Christmas break. We started, I had them sitting here the whole time. Unbeknownst to them, I've ordered 7 more books, so everyone who had their hand up is going to, I'm going to give a hardback copy to them because I had 9 out of the 16 in class really wanted. And I tried to make it, so I said, you won't offend me if you don't want one, but I only want people who will keep the book and will actually read it in the future sometime. So 9 of them told me they would. And I'm going to have my drawing like I normally do. I'm just going to draw 2 out, and then I guess I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I'm going to suddenly find that I've got a 3rd one somewhere, so I'll have another drawing because I know 7 of them would be moaning after the first 2 are drawn, and I'll just drag it out until all 9 that want one have a copy of the book. So see you Monday. Have a good weekend.